My name is Susan Jarboe, and with me today are some close friends and colleagues, Karen Downy, Kristine Pass, Loy Williams, and Reverend Linda Burdett. Our topic today is going to be about unworthiness, but before we begin, let's have a prayer. Our Heavenly Parent, we gather here today in gratitude for the opportunity to come together as a community of curious minds and open hearts. Thank you for the gift of wisdom, the joy of learning, and the ability to share our perspectives. As we enter this panel discussion, we invite your presence into this space, guiding our words and thoughts. Bless our time together so that this discussion may inspire positive change and growth in our lives and in the world around us. In humility and unity, we offer this prayer in your name. Amen. Many of you who have been watching these tapes for some time will know that I'm a big fan of Richard Rohr from the Center for Action and Contemplation. And in this particular article, he explores our human and religious temptation to hide qualities we think of as negative. Entering the spiritual search for truth and for ourselves through the so-called negative, dealing squarely with what is in ourselves, in others, or in the world around us, takes all elitism, its most common temptation, out of spirituality. It makes arrogant religion largely impossible and reveals any violent or self-aggrandizing religion as an oxymoron, although sadly that has not been widely recognized. In this upside-down frame, the quickest ticket to heaven, enlightenment, or salvation is unworthiness itself, or at least a willingness to face our own smallness and incapacity. Our conscious need for mercy is our only real boarding pass. The ego doesn't like that very much, but the soul fully understands. In different ways, we humans falsely divide the world into the pure and impure, the totally good and the totally bad, the perfect and the imperfect. It begins with dualistic thinking and then never manages to get beyond it. Such a total split or clean division is never true in actual experience. We all know that reality is a lot more mixed and disordered than that. So, in order to continue to see things in such a false and binary way, we really have to close down. That is the hallmark of immature religion. It demands denial, splitting, and mental pretense. It moves from the first false assumption of purity or perfection toward an entire ethical code, a priesthood of some sort, and various rituals and taboos that keep us on the side of the seeming pure, positive, or perfect, as if that were even possible. He goes on, I mean this next point kindly. Organized religion is almost structurally certain to create hypocrites. The word literally means actors. Those who try to appear to be pure and good, or at least better than others. Jesus uses the word at least 10 times in Matthew's gospel alone. We are unconsciously trained to want to look good, to seek moral high ground, and to point out the speck in other people's eyes while ignoring the log in our own. None of us lives up to our spoken ideals, but we have to pretend we do in order to feel good about ourselves and to get others of our chosen group to respect us. Honest self-knowledge, shadow work, therapy, and tools like the Enneagram are sometimes dismissed with hostility by many fervent believers, perhaps because they are afraid of or hiding something. They disdain this work as mere psychology. If so, then the Desert Fathers and Mothers, the writers of the Philokalia, Thomas Aquinas, and Teresa of Avila, were already into mere psychology, as was Jesus. Without a very clear struggle with our shadow self and some form of humble and honest confession of our imperfections, none of us can or will face our own hypocrisy. I open this up to discussion. This is kind of a somber essay, isn't it? Would anyone like to comment?
Oh, I absolutely would. Susan, this was amazing. I can always count on you to bring something very intellectual and thought-provoking. And boy, you did not fail today. This was incredible. I I was raised in a family where that was all about appearances. And so when you were
Oh.
talking about reading about this being something that we're inherently trained into, gosh, did I relate?
Mhm.
I um I I had to do things right. I had to do things correctly. And as Reverend Linda will attest, I have not gotten away from that. I want to know that I can do things really, really well before I jump in and actually do them.
Mhm.
One of the books that I have read more recently is it's actually an older book, Jess Lair's I Ain't Much Baby, but I'm All I've Got. And he talks about being authentic. And when you come and are authentic in who you are, what you find is occasionally you're going to have the people who reject you and say, that was too much. I don't like that one. But most of the time, you're going to have people say, you inspired me to be authentic myself. And then they're going to share their story. And it's going to open the door for you to share your own. And so this has been my journey out of that feeling of unworthiness into beginning to be comfortable with who I am. So thank you for this topic. Fabulous, fabulous, fabulous. So fun.
Would anyone else like to comment?
I would. Thank you, Susan. I love it. And of course, I love Richard Rohr. Um, he's such a cute little jovial person. He looks like Santa Claus. He's gifted, just totally a gift. And what immediately came to my mind was we are as sick as the secrets we keep. And I don't know about anybody else, but I was raised with a whole lot of them, and you don't talk about it. And I don't know, probably my first introduction to that little quote was, oh, geez, 40 years ago in Al Anon. And another one of the darling little quotes is, you spot it, you got it. So there's no finger pointing because there's three pointing back. And it's like, oh, I really have to remind myself about that a lot. And especially, I mean, I don't love everybody. And I'm sure everybody doesn't love me, but it's none of my business. And finally, I don't have to please anybody. Maybe my cats, possibly my cats. They have taught me about love. unconditional, and more because they love me unconditionally. Because I'm not that great pet owner. But they've taught me about unconditional love and learning. Well, I don't know where this one's coming from. It's like I have watched my number one cat, Angel, teach number two cat, Luna, I think almost everything she knows. And I'm getting to experience it. So, there's so much separation and chaos and crap going on in the world. And the energy it's really heavy sometimes. I mean, it's not like a bad day or anything. It's just, oh my God, do I have to get up again? I'm so tired. And then, you roll out and you do the day. But both of my cats have started letting me comb them. Started with Angel, but I observed Luna from afar, always watching. And it's like, well, it took her 2 years to learn how to roll over so I could rub her tummy without just being a clumsy thud. Now she does it with grace. It took I don't know, not even a month. And now she's up on my chest for me to comb her. And I'm going, you have got to be kidding me. So it's kind of like a lot of little examples. What we radiate, what we show does spread. And it doesn't have to be through our voice, And when I'm pointing a finger, noticing how whatever someone is, it's like, oh yeah, when have I acted like that in the past? When have I been so arrogant? When have I lied? Well, it's always a reflection looking back at me. And the appearances, I get it. We got to look good, act good. And it's like, oh my God, I'm too tired for that anymore. It's like, take it or leave it. And what you see is what you get. And thanks for letting me be a part of this panel. It's great. Thanks, Reverend Linda. And thanks to Susan and Loy and Kristine. This has been a really fun get together.
I reckon I can go next. Susan, you said that this was a somber topic, and I see it as exactly the opposite. I see it. I really enjoyed what Kristine and Karen had to say, especially the authenticity and what you see is what you get. Excuse me. What I find out most of the time when I'm into subjects like this is that there's a ton of everything just seems to match up with each other. I've always said, and you guys have probably heard me say this a lot, God speaks to us in the coincidences, and it's quite the coincidence that the Bible study. I have the YouVersion app, which is a Bible app, and the verse study that we had to deal with today was the first beatitude, and if that didn't match what Susan's was before, I don't know what does. I'd like to read something if I could. So what does it mean to be spiritually poor? As we all know, the first beatitude is blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of God, I think is how it goes. So what does it mean to be spiritually poor, and why does Jesus think that's a good thing? Those who realize their own spiritual poverty know that without God, they are spiritually bankrupt. Those who are poor in spirit understand the desperation of their situation, that they can have nothing, do nothing, and be nothing without Him. Those who are poor in spirit recognize that it's humility, not pride or self-reliance. It's a common characteristic of the kingdom of heaven, and that fits in perfectly with what I heard anyway. I hope that it matched. One thing I know, and Kristine, you mentioned authenticity. At my most authentic, I am a foul-mouthed person. I I've told this story a bunch of times, but I've never gotten to how I actually quit say smoking crack. I'm not going to say it, but let's just say that there was an F-bomb dropped. And it was basically, you know what, never mind. But um and at that point it occurred to me that if God is within me, then he must be speaking to me in my language, and my language curses a lot. So, but does that mean that God doesn't love me? Does that mean that I am not worthy of God's love or his blessings? The answer is absolutely not. And Susan, that what you just brought up, every time you come in, I really enjoy hearing about Mr. Rohr. It's amazing how things just sort of just match with each other. There's a lot of coincidences uh, uh, with this. Thank you so much for that topic, and thank everybody else for your comments.
I'll jump in. I'll try and be brief. I learned this lesson pretty early on from being the observer of my mother and her journey throughout my lifetime. When I was growing up, my mother was very judgmental. Pretty much anybody who wasn't her was hugely flawed. And people around her would not talk to her. I've got I I've got relatives who are gay. I've got relatives who are not white, married into the family. Our family is very, very white, but we're growing and we're evolving and we're expanding. And as this happened, so did my mother's awareness. What she thought about people was based on the labels she put on people. Oh, he's this. Oh, she's that. Ooh, they're this. But she didn't know anything more about them than what she was judging them on. She took one fact only, and wrote a whole entire story about it, and that was her truth. And then she tried to teach it to me. I was not an obedient student. But what I realized in watching her journey is that when we're honest about who we are and what we've been through and our flaws, we give people who have never experienced anything like that an opportunity to see and understand beyond the title, beyond the verbiage. I talk a lot about being a junkie, being in recovery, being homeless, and all the things that were entailed, not as a badge of honor. Oh, look at me, I was all these things, but in the hopes that if you need to judge somebody, you'll judge me. I can handle your judgment. But somebody brand new in recovery, just trying to get their feet back on their ground, might be totally crushed and annihilated and, suicidal because of another person's judgment. So I made a decision early on to be authentic. If you want to judge somebody for something, I'm right here. Go ahead, judge me. And in so doing, perhaps you will learn something more than just the bullet points that you're using to judge. So the next person, somebody who's a little bit more vulnerable, who hasn't done the healing work that I've done, won't be judged and will have an opportunity to be seen for who they are, not what they are. So that's my feelings and my thoughts. Thank you so much for this topic. I think it's so important, Susan. Thank you.
Thank you all for your comments. And Kristine, you pointed out one of the things that Rohr was pointing out, which was our structures and our institutions, like our families, have imbued us with various kinds of attitudes, and we're not even really aware of it because that's reality. And to be able to step back, as you know, from an institution to which we belong, in which we were raised, and to try to examine the hypocrisy of an institution, and we can all name a bunch of institutions, that's a difficult thing to do. It's hard when your background has put you in one particular place. And Karen, I liked your comments about judgment, because one of the things Rohr said was, look at how often we judge the mote in somebody else's eye without thinking about the log in our own. And I think that's one of the habits that emerges when we don't have self-awareness and when we're not willing to look at our own selves and our own limitations. And Loy, thank you for the connection with the beatitude of being poor in spirit. And you're right, I see God in coincidences all the time. And I really think that's the case. And what Rohr is saying is that when we are poor in spirit, that's the ticket. That unworthiness is the step to ongoing spiritual growth. And I'm really glad you made that connection, because I think I understand the first beatitude better now than I ever have before. So I really appreciate that link. And Linda, your comment about labels. I used to study language philosophy, and there's a man by the name of Alfred Korzybski, who's considered the father of general semantics, and you don't have to know that. And essentially, he was saying, well, we can't function in the world without labels. But he said, every time you label somebody, add etc., because that will remind you that that label is not the whole person. And I have found that a very useful strategy, a healthy mental strategy to put in my brain, etc. So thank you all for your responses to this article. And thank you all for watching this. And as you know from watching some of our previous programs, we welcome feedback. And so please put comments and ideas into the comments section. If you think this particular video was useful and might be useful for other people, or that other people would enjoy it, do pass on the link and let other people know about this one. You could also become a subscriber, and so you would be notified whenever a new video was being posted. Also, maybe you have ideas for us, things you would like us to talk about. And we would be happy to investigate something or think about something and then bring it back to you. So if you have ideas about things you'd like to hear, please let us know that. You can also join us. And sometimes people have something that's really on their mind. And if you have just sort of a one-shot topic, but it's something you really like to say something about, you could join us just for one session. You don't have to commit to being an ongoing panelist, although if you want to commit to that, we would love it. And so there's information about how you can contact us at the end of this video. Thanks again to the panel for their comments, and thanks to our audience for listening to this message.
Thank you for joining us, and let's stay connected and grow in spirit. We are on Facebook, Search for Unity Church of El Cajon and follow us and like our posts. You can reach us on YouTube at Unity Church of El Cajon. Please subscribe to our channel, watch our videos, and leave comments which can help us improve. We are on the web at unityofelcajon.org. Email or call our church office to receive our weekly newsletters, which lists all of our activities and opportunities to learn and grow together.